Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to part 3 of my analysis of this Super Millions final table from GG Poker. This was streamed on the 16th of August 2022. If you haven't done so already, make sure you watch part 1 and part 2 for my analysis of 2 other key hands and a sort of a deeper dive and exploration of the sims that we used for those hands. Today we're going to be taking a look at a blind versus blind spot. Let's get into that right now. All right, so in this hand, it folds around to the player in 4th. Oliver's going to shove with ace-jack off, and Mario, who is currently in 5th out of 5, is going to call off with king-5 off. So the questions that I want to ask today when we run the sim and to gain from the sim is, what does small blind's range look like? Does he have like a limping and a jamming strategy, or is there some raising in there? He's only playing like 8 big blinds effective, so I'm not totally sure he's going to have some raising, but we can see. Maybe it's just going to go limp and jam. But what kind of hands are going to make it into a limping range here? Is it going to be like top and bottom and then jamming the rest, or is it something else completely? And then versus the jamming range, I expect the jamming range to be pretty wide here. So the big blind is probably going to get to call off pretty wide as well. So let's take a look. All right, so here's this small blind strategy. You can see we've got some limping in green, so limping the top like 9s plus to induce, and the bottom you can just limp fold these hands, and then the rest of the range, the rest of the VPIP is going to be in a jamming range. And so you can see hands like ace-jack off jamming, even ace-king off, pocket 8s, ace-king suited, ace-queen suited. So quite a lot of really strong hands in a jamming range here. I don't know if I'm surprised by that. I think it's really nice to see some hands want to limp to induce, and then that allows you to play those really weak hands as well, like 8-2 suited, 8-3 suited, jack-4 off, stuff like that. So against this jamming range, I can expect to see king-5 off in a calling range, or I would expect to see king-5 off in there. But let's first of all take a look at the risk premium. So the big blind against the small blind, the risk premium is only 3.6%. So what you might not know is that your risk premium is lowest against the player with the fewest chips, and it's the biggest or the highest against the player with the most chips. So Cutoff's the chip leader with 75 bigs. Our risk premium in the big blind against him is 6.7%, but against the player in 4th with only 25 bigs, our risk premium is just 3.6%. Now, I don't know this for sure, so maybe you can drop a comment down below, let me know what you think. But one of the reasons I believe that your risk premium is much lower against the player who's in 4th is that if you win the all-in, then the stacks become a lot more even. Okay, so the small blind would come down, and you would double up, and you'd have a somewhat similar stack size at that point. If you got it all in against the cutoff, well, and you win, then you're still going to be in 5th place. Yes, you've got more chips, but you're still going to be in 5th place, and the cutoff is still going to be the chip leader. So it doesn't really affect them too much. So yeah, I think there's some things going on definitely for sure in there. And I think it's something to think about in these spots when you look at who's actually jamming on you. Is it the player in 4th, in which case you can go a bit wider and your risk premium is lower. But if it's against the chip leader, then you're going to have to tighten up your range a little bit. So against this jamming range, you can see king-5 off, absolutely fine call. You can call all the way down to king-deuce off. But there's some funky calls in here as well. I call them funky because I think it's it's somewhat easy to call off with king high, but I think it's more challenging to call off with like 9 high in this spot. 9-8 suited has enough equity plus the extra risk premium that needs the 3.6% in order to make this call. It meets the threshold of those 2 equities, and then it can call. So yeah, we're going to be calling off with 9 high. I think from a sort of like a mindset perspective, this can be quite challenging to go, okay, you're on a final table, big final table, and the small blind's jammed. We're fifth in chips. Yes, I'm going to call off with 9 high. Doesn't really feel that good, but I think when you see it in the sim and it's profitable, then you can be more confident that you're making the right decision. So as I've mentioned in the previous video, it's always nice to see, what ifs. What if, for example, the small blind chose to limp instead? So they're going to have that strong range, 9s plus and some suited stuff in here. I imagine this is going to limp call, and then some garbage stuff as well that's going to limp fold. So what do we want to do from the big blind? And you can see that we have like a heavy bias on those offsuit king x hands. So if we did have king 5 off in this spot, would be a nice jam, but also jamming offsuit ace x as well. Something that's quite interesting, given how strong the small blind's limping range is, we're actually just checking back all of our pairs here. So yeah, if we shove pocket twos, we're never getting a better pair to fold. Nines plus is always going to call, so it doesn't really make too much sense to jam. All we're really doing is denying equity against those loose limps like the jack 4 off and the 8-2 suited, those kind of hands. So I think this is really, really fascinating. And this is something that you maybe wouldn't discover if you were just looking at the hands you wanted to analyze. So if you're looking at the hands in your own database, running them for the final table, and you're really sort of just doing a line check for your exact hand, you're going to miss out on some of this crucial information. Even if you were just going, right, I'm going to run this hand, I'm going to see what my strategy looks like, what does my range look like in this spot, you want to try to take things a little bit further and see what else is going on. What if the small blind limped instead? How does that affect my strategy? So I've learned a massive amount here just from this one sim, seeing that we just want to check back with those really, really strong hands, those pairs, because I think, yeah, I would have probably jammed the pairs, and I would have shoved the ace x hands for sure and the king x hands, but those pairs I'm not sure I would have got right. So really, really eye-opening sim, I think, and it's something that you will miss if you don't go down that what if path. So another fascinating hand, I think you might look at it and you think, okay, yeah, it's quite a simple spot. Ace jack off is a really simple jam from the small blind, king 5 off, really easy call. But what you can do by going further into the sim is learn a whole lot more. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.